You've spoken about it. You came on First Take to speak about it. You've been on Sports Center. You've spoken about it in the past. Your suspension from the sport and what have you. But while you were away, talk to my audience about what that did for you as a fighter. Did it elevate your level of fervor to continue doing this for the long haul? Did it take something away from you? What did you learn in your absence?
Stephen, I've had a very controversial career, and I try to find the good in everything and the blessings in everything. And on the positive side, I got to realize how much the sport means to me, and what I am outside the sport. And my gratefulness is just as far as me to just work harder, and to dream bigger, and to just allow victory and my perseverance to outweigh any type of controversy or downtime.
It's interesting because when you fought Gustafsson on, what is it, September 21st, 2013, UFC 165, you had won that fight by decision. When you went up against him this past December 29th, like you said, 5 years later, he said some things about you. He questioned the validity of your fight game. He basically insinuated that you were a cheater. I knew he was doomed from the moment he did that, because you ain't the person to do that to. Make no mistake about that. But when you think about the kind of things that he was saying, are you concerned that even though there was a small sample, and you can explain that if you want to, in your blood or whatever the case may be, are you concerned, whether it's him, the Daniel Cormiers of the world, and others, are you concerned that these guys are going to go about the business of religiously trying to label you somebody who tries to get an unfair advantage against them and try to just eradicate your validity and authenticity as a champion? Are you concerned about that at all moving forward?
I'm not concerned about it, Stephen A. At the end of the day, when you've been blessed with a certain amount of greatness, there will always be excuses for who you are. When I first started the sport, people would say, well, his brothers are both, athletes. They would say, like, well, his arms are long. And then they would say, well, he poked the guy in the eye, so maybe that's why he's winning. Or he's kicking the guy in the knee, that's why he's winning. There's always going to be excuses, and unfortunately, it's my last situation. This whole Pico Grill mess. It's given my doubters a legitimate excuse. But at the end of the day, what's for me is for me, Stephen A. And you just can't stop God's blessings, man. You just can't stop God's blessings.
I got a question. John, I got a question. We're talking to Jon Jones, UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. He's right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. I got to ask you this question. Why the hell are you fighting somebody with 13 losses? I mean, I know Anthony Smith can fight a little bit, but why is a guy with 13 losses getting in the octagon with you?
Well, as the king, you got to take on all challenges. And every man deserves his chance. And to me, everyone's worthy, man. Everyone has their talents and everyone has the value and their worth. And at the end of the day, the telling of his career it's been a nice one. He's really coming into his own. And he's become a great fighter. And my job is not to be a dream crusher. It's just so much bigger for me, Steve. So in my eyes, he's just a pawn in a great, great story. And there is no face, there is no records to me. It's just I just see victory for years to come. So, in order to be great, you got to take them all. And that's what I'm here doing.
We're talking to Jon Jones right here with Stephen A. and the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Are you ever going to fight Daniel Cormier again?
I've always said that it's not personal for me. Like I was just saying, it's not personal for me. I'm 2-0 against Daniel Cormier. It's a blessing every time I hear people call him the greatest of all time. That just lets me know who I am. And if Daniel wants to redeem himself, he can come down to the light heavyweight division. I've never challenged any heavyweight. And when I do decide to challenge a heavyweight, it'll be the perfect scenario for me, whether it's financial or stylistic. And you know, his kids will know at the end of the day that his daddy's not the real champ.
Well, the reason
And,
I asked
and
that
that's all
question.
that matters.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
I said his kids will know one day when they're old enough that his daddy wasn't the real champ in my era, and that's all that really matters.
But don't you think that's the fight that people really, really want to see, because there clearly appears to be genuine disdain that you guys have for each other, or at the very least he appears to have for you?
I'm 2-0 against Daniel Cormier, and like I said, financially, if the UFC wants to give the fans what they want, it'll happen.
Okay. Jon Jones right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Last question. I'm thinking about you as the light heavyweight champion. You talked about how you've never challenged a heavyweight. Do you see that in the foreseeable future, you moving up to the heavyweight division, or are you going to stay at the light heavyweight division and be satisfied there?
I'm totally satisfied. When I joined the UFC originally, my goal was to be the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time, and or just the greatest champion of all time. And I'm happy in the lane that I am. I've cleared out my division, and I got a lot of young blood coming up with big dreams. One day beating myself, and my job is just keep on keeping on.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm satisfied in my lane.
Jon Jones, wishing you nothing but the best. You're headlining UFC 235 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas a week from Saturday. Good luck to you, my man, and I hope to see you there. Handle your business. We'll talk soon.